What we're here for is justice is a very deep thing. In Australia started with a really reasonable system. We used to get around together in communities and we'd elect someone from the community to represent us. And they would go into a place like this, Parliament as they call it, and they would represent our best interests. And they would go out to the community back in those days and find out what we wanted, whether we wanted new roads or whether we wanted a better police force, things like that, and they would act on our best interests. And that was a long time ago. And we had a judicial system that was a common law-based judicial system. And what that was about was making sure that you received justice. So if someone stole something from you, you could get that back. And if somebody did something nasty to you, you could hold them to account. And those sorts of things. So you had a democratic process that used to kind of work. And you had a judicial system that was separated from that system. So there were three tiers of government. There was your Commonwealth government, there was a state government, and then there was the judiciary. That's the three tiers of government. And then everything started going wrong because these guys got into power. All they wanted was power. And to get that power, they had to reduce your ability to fight them. They had to make sure that they could control the masses, and this has happened over a long period of time. And one of those things they need to control now is they need to control you completely. So what they're worried about more than anything, these people in this House and these big corporations they now represent and support and look after, what they fear is you guys. Because if tens of thousands of people marched on Parliament, you would bring change. They need to make sure that doesn't happen. And how they do that, right, is they need to control you. They need to make sure that you don't get together and start thinking about what they're doing to you. So they need to be able to get rid of you if you stand up against them. So they need to bring in rules and laws to control everything you do in your lives. And some of those rules are so ridiculous that what they describe now as a criminal. A criminal used to be somebody that did something wrong. The Attorney General was talking on radio with him one day, and he said, all the bikers are criminals. And I said, Mr. Atkinson, so they're all in jail, are they? He goes, no. And I said, but if they're all criminals, that means they've been convicted of a crime. Wouldn't you be putting them in jail? Well, they haven't been convicted of a crime. So why are you calling them criminals? I don't understand. So a criminal now is determined by who you have a beer with, whether you have tattoos, what mode of transport, these sorts of things. What they need to do is control you. So if you start arcing up, they're going to go after you. And those laws they want to bring in, those laws to control people, they can't just bring them in and say, we've got a new piece of legislation that's going to take away every fucking right that your forefathers have fought for all your lives, and it's going to destroy the rights of your children. They couldn't bring that in. No one will go for it. So we'll bring in the Serious Organised Crime Control Act here in South Australia, and we'll call it anti-bike. Anti-biker. It doesn't say anything about bikers in the legislation. It just says things like, if you guys get together, we can come and arrest you. If you've got mates we don't like, we'll come and piss on you and arrest you. If you stand up against the government, we'll come and arrest you. And guess what? You're no longer innocent until proven guilty. You're guilty because you've got a mate, you're having a beer with a mate they don't like. Right? This is absolute rubbish. We know this is rubbish. I'm speaking to the converted here. But what do we do to stop this? We come along and have rallies like this. Now people aren't going to want to come to these rallies. Why? There's two reasons. One, they fear intimidation. Or two, they've just given up. They just don't think they can win anymore. But, it doesn't matter how we vote. I mean, there was a time when we thought that voting was the thing. We could vote these bastards out and a new lot would come in and do the right thing. But your votes were shit. I was in court in 2010 here in South Australia and I proved 120,000 votes were missing. In our highest court. What happened? Nothing. Did the media report on that? Do you think 120,000 votes might have been important, maybe? No. Labor won by 1,200 votes. So we had a government since 2010 at least that we didn't fucking vote for. And now they're making rules that we don't want. And what can we do about it? Nothing. So just in case there's some staunch people left in the fucking world that might stand up against these bastards, what do? They bring in laws and rules to make sure you can't. So we don't have a democratic system anymore. We don't have politicians that can hear us. We don't have laws that are equitable. I used to be innocent until proven guilty. Now, every single fine you receive, every interaction with the police, every interaction with the government, they're saying, you're guilty, come and prove to us you're not. And then we talk about justice. I think justice is important here. Okay? Let's say you go home this afternoon, this is South Australia right now. You go home this afternoon, you grab the mail, and you walk inside and there's a fine there for a vehicle you sold a year ago. It's only $200. So you try and fight that fine. It's just like yours, nothing to do with you. Okay? You've advised motor reg, you've paid the fine, you've advised motor reg over 12 months ago that the fine's not yours. So what would you expect to happen? Oh, okay, we'll go after the person who did it. But no, they'll go after you. Then they'll pass that fine on to the Fines Enforcement Unit. The Fines Enforcement Unit doesn't exist. Do some research. It's not even a rule. It's called the Fines Enforcement and Recovery Department. It's not even a rule. Go and look it up. It's a house up in the hills here. It's a house that's vacant. Okay? And these people then go, I want $800 from it. And they'll keep going and going and going. Then some of us, not many left, are staunch enough to go, bugger this, we'll go to court and fight this. And then you go to court and not really sure of how it'll work, so you go and hire a lawyer. And the lawyer comes into court for you. And let's say you win. So you win and prove. That fine was never mine. But it's cost you $5 grand in lawyer's fees. Can you claim the lawyer's fees back in the courts here? No. So you've lost again. There is no justice left. And the people that should be protecting justice for it aren't going to do it. They're going to keep writing rubbish rules. And every time they get away with one, every time they take one of your rights, they'll take more and more and more and more of your rights. Until you can't do anything anymore. So your children are told what the fuck they can wear, who they can be with, who they can love, what they can use as a mode of transport. And even if they do all of that, they're going to go for their hip pocket if there's $1 left. If they work hard and save, they'll take it. Your property rights, gone. You don't have property rights. What it used to mean was you had a house and no one could go there. It was your castle, mate. It was your castle. But if the government want to come to your house now and take your house or do something with it, you have to go to High Court. $30,000 to apply. $200,000 for a lawyer. Your house is gone. There's nothing left, guys. Nothing bar us standing up, fighting for our fucking rights. And if we don't do that, now, we could overcome all of this tomorrow. We bring in a Bill of Rights. Most countries have it, a Bill of Rights. What it does is, we can teach it in the schools. Your kids would grow up knowing that no one can come on their property because they're not allowed to. And they can know that if a police officer pulls them over and they're doing the wrong thing, they can stand up for their rights. But you know who's going to fight against the Bill of Rights? A handful of arseholes in this room here, in this house here. Thousands and tens of thousands and millions of Australians would like a Bill of Rights. It doesn't hurt anybody. It determines what our rights are. It means our kids can go to court and go, no, this fine isn't mine. Here's the evidence. I have a right under common law, up yours. And win. And walk away. And get paid by the police who are probably trying to prosecute them irrelevantly. In fact, it is really easy. If one of you guys arcs up online too much and you cause too much stress to the government, next minute you know the police come to your house. They'll come to your house, they will. They can be ordered by somebody above. But it's not their fault, they're just doing what they're told. And they come to your house and they arrest you. And they put you in jail. And make you look bad. All your neighbours go, oh my God, that bloke across the road's been arrested by the police. And then they make up some bullshit excuse for having arrested you. You know, and then you go to court. And you prove that you've done nothing wrong. You prove it's a wrongful arrest. You prove that you were assaulted by the police. But guess what happens? Nothing. Nothing. You might be able to walk away with holding your head high, but unless you're really good at doing it yourself, you've still got a big legal bill to pay. Those neighbours still think you're a criminal. Alright? These are the sorts of things happening every day in our country. Every day in this state. I've been fighting stuff for years, you all know it. At the moment, we've got an RSPCA. I know I'm going right off track here, but this is an authority. This is a private corporation. They have more power than the police. There's not even anyone to go to. If they come and take your animal, murder it, say, oh, look, you know, it's sick or you've abused it, take you to court, you know evidence. You go to court, you either admit you're an animal abuser, even though you're an animal lover. They kill the animal. They make a good 10 grand out of fining it. And that's how they make their profits in this country. Is there anyone you can go to with evidence? if you had video of them saying, ha ha ha, we just did this, can you do anything? No. So you don't have democracy, you don't have a government that represents you, you don't have justice. And people are just taking, when they get that fine, they're just paying it. They're going, oh, going to court's going to cost too much, I'll just pay this $400. And this, so that we're being raped by the very people that dare take the title of honourable. Not fucking one of them's honourable. Because even the ones you think are half reasonable in this place know what's going on and are willing to turn a blind eye. Anyone that turns a blind eye to injustice is part of it. You don't have to. Half of the police, got a lot of them around us now, they know what goes on. They know that they're told to get a quota. They know that some of these fines are wrong. They go out and they get your kids and they pull them over and your motor's too shiny and they defect them. It's rubbish. And every time they do it and we back down and pay the bloody fine or we turn a blind eye to some bastard doing something to your neighbour, your friend, your family, your mother, your sister, your brother, the mate that you drink with, and you don't stand up for them, they get more and more power. And the more they get, the more they'll take from you. And how much more can they? What's left, guys?
Nothing.
Nothing. So we're here today to sort of try and put this all into a big pile of injustice and rubbish and being screwed and shafted by every person that we call honourable, every person that's meant to protect us. And we don't get anywhere. And it has to bloody change. Yeah, right. Last year, I'll talk about one thing last year. Last year, and this is only a small story and I'll finish on this. Last year, I'm an activist, okay, and I run a sanctuary. I like animals. I have my own beliefs. No one has to believe the same as me. I don't really give a shit. Okay, last year. So I stepped on this toes of the RSPCA because I exposed to being a bunch of bastards. The chief inspector of the RSPCA, who's now been sacked, took a few years, he then went to a couple of mates in the police force, go and intimidate this bloke. Then had his kids ring me and say, sucked in, Dad's got some mates in the force, they're going to fuck with you. So I arrived home after going up to help the shelter and chuck the RSPCA out of the shelter because they were illegally there taking animals. Now you might ask where this is going. So I arrived home and I said to the missus, I just had this call, the police are going to come and intimidate me. Right? And I said, I can't believe that would happen. I really couldn't. Police turned up 2 hours later, seized all my firearms, no reason at all, wouldn't even give a reason. Didn't even say why, even took the sanctuary firearms and I'm an animal rescue and we have to have that. It's part of our animal rescue, we can't do about it. So they did that. And then I arced up, because I'm pretty good at it. I got a couple of mates in there, believe it or not, reluctantly say that. And we gave them a hard time, so a couple of those officers got in trouble. That really pissed off the chief inspector. Just really did. So then they came around on Sunday morning with no warrant. No valid warrant, nothing at all, and said, you've got to come with us. And I said, no, go fuck yourself. Come back with a warrant, I'll have a coffee and a piss. No, they arrested me. Beat shit out of me, terrified my fucking mother-in-law who's in the 70s who won't even come to our house anymore, she was so scared. Terrified my wife. Everyone was on the phone trying to get me out of jail. In jail they had nothing. There was no warrant. They tried to produce a dodgy one about 4 hours later that was totally invalid at all. Then I was in the middle of an election campaign, so what's the front page of the paper say? Independent candidate's a criminal fucking gun-slinging bastard and destroyed my good name. And that's what they'll do to any one of us that arcs up too much. And these blokes standing around us, they know that shit goes down. And it's no excuse to say, but I'm just doing the right thing. No, you're not. You turn a blind eye to fucking justice. Anyone that does that deserves a smack in the mouth, and all of us know that. So, a Bill of Rights is the way to aim. But to get there is going to be a big fight, because no one in a position of power wants any rights, you to have any rights, let alone define them, and allow us to be educated enough to use them against them. So we need to fight for a Bill of Rights and head that way, but it's a long, long journey. And the only way we can do it is everyone that's here today use a bit of education that you've got to educate other people. And we need to slowly grow that. Because there's only two ways. We either do it, educate it by spreading the word and standing around like this and becoming bigger and bigger and bigger in numbers, or we go to fucking civil war. And civil war means more death, more. Alright? But someone, our forefathers, went out there and risked life and limb for your fucking rights. How dare any of you sit on your fucking asses and not stand up for them now?